So stage 3, we don't really talk about Netflix or streaming service shows that much, but we're certainly going to start to because I finished, Will finished, and Manny is in sort of the middle of kind of the Queen's Gambit on Netflix right now, which kind of popped up out of nowhere. It's I don't know exactly who directed it. I'm not familiar with any of the actors and actresses, but what a show! One of the shows that you still think about the next day after you finish, and maybe a day later, and then you talk about it with coworkers, and it's like, oh my god! Just like anything else that we do, we're going to do spoiler free for probably about 2 to 3 minutes. So if you haven't watched the Queen's Gambit, definitely go watch it before this video. But I'm gonna say what I told Manny, who's seen the first 2 episodes so far. It's a 7-episode miniseries. There's not a whole lot you can really spoil because it's about chess, and they sort of introduce the main villain in the 2nd episode, if you're gonna call him a villain. But yeah, this is a 7-episode miniseries done by Netflix. Episode 1 starts, episode 7 it's done. It's about a chess genius, Elizabeth Harmon, who learns how to play chess in her foster home from the janitor. I think it's if I recall, it's the janitor. He's playing chess by himself alone, and she just sort of curiously goes in and tries to play with him. There's some subplots as well where she is addicted to this pill, which seems to be undescript, but possibly some type of ADHD medication, like a generic Adderall or whatever. Yeah. She has this addiction to that, as well as alcohol, that sort of follows her throughout the show. But the central focus of the show is chess, and Elizabeth Harmon sort of is realizing that she is fallible at chess and that she can lose, which isn't really a spoiler. I mean, I don't think so anyways. If it is, I apologize. But yeah, it's just it's a show about chess. It's only so much I can talk about without spoilers. So I know, Manny, you've seen the first 2 episodes. Will, you've already pun intended ran the gambit. What do you think? I mean, so far, I mean, without spoilers.
So and like you said, it was super unexpected. It's one of those things that I would call like a pleasant surprise. I believe you told me about that series, and I said, well, okay, if you see that it's that good, let me just sit down and watch it. I gave it a chance, 1 episode with my wife, and dude, from the first episode we got hooked. I believe what made it for me was the fact that it's just that type of story that hooks you in a way that you want to know more, and because it's in the format of a miniseries, you're gonna get that much information that you basically are craving. And no doubt, man, they start the story from the beginning, like way back to the beginning, this girl's story, and that what makes it so powerful, because it lets you relate so much to this character. It's a female lead, which to me sometimes I go like really carefully into those, because I don't know, it's kind of Hollywood lost their way to how to make them, although there's been so many great female lead stories. I mean, I can quote Aliens, I can quote Terminator with Sarah Connor, amazing leads that basically are super powerful, strong women. But lately we've been having a lot of Star Wars sequels and things that doesn't make any sense, that actually disappointed me. But this one was so well made, so much growth, so much learning, so much dealing with your own demons, trying to overcome those obstacles that just makes her so human that it was so hard not to relate to her. So that's why I believe this was, to me, one of the greatest series of 2020, to be honest with you. If you haven't seen it,
I agree.
Go watch it right now. It's a great story. Before we start spoiling, go watch this and then come back to the video, because it's worth it. All 7 episodes are amazing.
This would be the best chance too. I mean, Manny, you're only 2 episodes deep. Anyone that's watching, I mean, episode 1 and 2 are not really spoilers. Where are you at? How are you feeling about it?
So I just finished the 2nd episode very recently. But overall, man, I mean, the show's really good. And this is why I kind of hate you two motherfuckers for it, because every time you guys tell me to recommend a show, I was going to put my other shows that I'm watching currently on hold. So I got to finish this one now, thanks to you guys. But I mean, overall, I mean, I'm kind of impressed, man. And then yeah, what really got to me is just, I mean, yeah, you said it, bro. It's just a show about chess. Like, it kind of makes me want to play. But I mean, like, that's just how good the show was, man. Like, dang, yo, like,
Dude, my wife told me, hey, let's just get a chess table. I was like, no,
Chess
that's
is
not gonna happen.
chess is fun. And there's another. I don't know if I talked about it before at work for sure. I don't think I talked about it on the podcast, but there's a 45-minute documentary about people doing like Rubik's cubing
Yeah.
on Netflix, called Cubers, and it was so good I watched it twice. And then I also bought a Rubik's cube, and I don't know how to solve a.
I should have bought some stocks on Cubics Rule before those series come out. I'm gonna buy some stocks on chess tables now.
Netflix is really killing it with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, without getting off on too much of a tangent, because there is surprisingly a lot to unpackage about this show. And I kind of want to get into it. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, go ahead and click off. But if you're okay with spoilers, Manny's going to get some right now, unfortunately.
And that is my time to leave. Bye, guys.
So 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. You've been warned.
So spoiler territory. We know in episode 2, which Manny, you would know, that we're introduced to Borgov, the Russian chess genius who's unbeatable.
That's the Darth Vader of this series, man.
He's the Darth Vader of chess. He's the Ganondorf of chess. He's the fucking Magneto of chess. Like he's just like he's
damn 3 for 3, bro. Shoot.
3 for 3. 3 for 3. No, he's the ultimate villain. And then from episode 1 to episode 7, we know that it's going to end with her facing Borgov.
Yeah.
I think I'll get it out of the way early. She wins. I mean, if it wasn't clear in your head, she does win, like at the end. But what I really enjoyed is that she doesn't win every game, which I teased that a bit before spoilers, which is my mistake. Which I found really enjoyable, because in the first couple episodes, the first 2-3 episodes, I was like, is she going to win every single chess set? Is she just going to always win? Because that's not really an enjoyable watch. And then she actually loses, I think episode maybe 2-3. She loses to well, I guess I can keep that vague enough so that it'll be a surprise to the audience and Manny. But she takes her first loss, and it kind of destroys her. She's with her mother, who, that's another subplot with her and her foster mom, or her adopted mother, who's an alcoholic, married into, we don't really get the background, and I think it's purposely meant to be vague, but it seems like it's married into money. I guess it's meant to be up to our imaginations, because I mean, I maybe it would take a rewatch, but I don't think they explore it too much. But
I wouldn't doubt she was married into money, bro.
It's like, what it seems. That's the way that it seemed like to me.
I mean, remember also it was the 60s, so yeah. The dynamics within the family in these times was way different. Like the wife was supposed to stay at home while the guy was just to go out and work. Mm-hmm. And pretty much that the relationship that you see is this lady that is waiting for her husband to come back, and it's pretty much on her place at that time, which is the women are in the house, the gentleman is the one that goes out and work and do whatever he wants. So I believe it's mostly about that the broken or the unachievable dreams that lady had and had to let go in order for her to fill that role as a wife. And they touch that topic a lot because they make contrast with how independent Elizabeth is compared to her, and like Chris says, it's about a journey on becoming the best, the very best. I kind of relate a lot with Pokemon in a way. She had to beat them all to reach the goal, but at the same time, I mean, like Chris said, she wins at the end, and you kind of know that she's gonna win. Because I mean, you're rooting for her. I mean, you know that she's the protagonist, but it's not that she wins. It's the journey on how she get to the point that she wins that makes this so powerful. Because it's not easy. Like she understand that it's not only being the best. It's also that you need a group, you need a circle. It cannot only be about you. And her whole life, she was by herself. she started alone this journey because her mom died, well, or tried to kill herself when she was young, and tried basically to kill her at the same time when she was young with her. And she was, by that point forward, she was by herself. Everything was by herself, and she was angry, and she was lonely, and she was mad, and she found consolation with these pills. That these pills pretty much take her away from her problems and her issues.
That's part of what I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and basically, I believe that the real story starts when she's at a young age and she finds that mentor, because that's what she needed. She was basically lost in the bushes trying to find a way, and she found this gentleman, which his name was William, I believe. I don't remember his last name. It was William something. Was the janitor on that where's the orphanage, or like,
It was like an orphanage, yeah.
Yes.
Orphanage, yeah.
and he was the janitor in there, and she was basically assigned to just basically clean the erasers on the boards. And she met this gentleman, which pretty much at first it was like a little bit of a, I want to play and I don't want to play with you because you're not supposed to play with me.
He's reserved.
Yeah, they were both like introverts people. But at some point she was so curious that she gets to play with him, and he noticed that she was good at it. So she found something. She finally found something that she was good at. So to her, chess became her identity. That was her. So without chess, there was no guidance. Without chess, there was no reason to do the things that everybody does because she wasn't happy. Chess was her way to just pretty much, this is me. I'm chess. And this is what I'm going to be. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. And I believe once she finds that purpose is when the story actually really take place.
I think you talk about you're talking about the journey a lot, which not only do I completely agree with, I agree with it so much that I that's why I thought like for this stage would be okay to talk about. Like, I mean, you're not going to lose too much. I mean, listening to us talk about it, because she's going to win the 7-episode miniseries.
Yes.
But the journey itself. So she starts meeting these other chess players. So when she meets her first professional, because she, by the time that she gets to her first like tournament, like even she wins that first one in episode 2.
Yeah, she wins easily, fast. She was good.
In her head, she's like, okay, well, I think I'm perfect at this, but she's got a little bit of like teenage insecurities or whatever. When they start introducing characters, the background plot of how they're building this cast for us is sort of, a part of it is centered around the fact that she's like kind of hot, but like kind of autistic. Like, I don't know if that's okay to say, but like it drives a really, really interesting story. And she doesn't really understand social cues. She doesn't understand that she's an attractive female, and that it's also awkward because the other chess players are awkward dudes. And then she starts forming these relationships with like she ends up meeting another young prodigy, Benny something another, who I believe they said he was winning tournaments when he was like 8 or 7 or whatever. Sort of the same age.
Benny Watts.
Benny Watts. Yeah, Benny Watts is introduced as
he was like the US champion.
He was the US champion. So I mean, I have to say, like, this will have to be the first like actual like legitimate spoiler. She does lose to Benny. Like, she loses to Benny whenever they end up facing, and it kind of breaks her. It sort of starts this transformation to where she ends up being, where we end up. But I was a big fan of the fact that every minute of the show, every second ended up being interesting, because the most exciting part of the show for me, as strange as it sounds, is when they're playing chess, which has no right to be as interesting as it is, but they make it fascinating. And
it's like those CSI shows that they're basically going through the lab and doing all these tests with the DNA. It's like, there's no way in hell that is that interesting. That should be like super boring. But they put the background music and they put the camera angles, so they make it seem like that's the shit. That was like the chess playing part was.
And
they made it fun.
They're building up to, hey, you don't understand. Borgov is perfect. Like, you are amazing at chess, but Borgov is a robot. He's a Russian robot, and Russia plays chess like Korea plays StarCraft. Like
Yeah,
they're
correct.
on another level.
Exactly.
Because you're American, you'll never be on the Russian level. And the show sort of unwinds with it being not Elizabeth Harmon versus Borgoff, but America versus Russia. I sort of had a bit of a takeaway from that.
Yeah, and she knew the Russians were the best. She wanted to go against the Russians, and she wanted like kind of jump hoops to get to them like right away. She started without a rating, and she wanted to just to pretty much play against the best. So she was a little bit ahead of herself. But I like the fact that this story stopped her. That this story put her in her place a few times. Say, listen, you're good, but chill. You're good, but chill. If you compare it to something like, for example, Star Wars, that at the end Rey was going to win, that's fine. But when she wins on the first movie, it kind of takes away the interesting part of let me watch her grow. No, this story actually stopped her a lot of times.
They slap her down a lot.
Yes, and I like that. I like that a lot.
It's not just with chess either. They dive into her alcoholism. They dive into these weird undescript ADHD pills.
Yes.
They dive into not only her relationship with her mother, but also her relationship with all these chess dudes, and then also other teenage girls. And that's just all happening in the background of, like, for me, when I was watching it, all that stuff was so good and so interesting. But I mean, sincerely, I was waiting for the next chess tournament.
Yeah.
Anytime that she wasn't playing chess, I was like, I can't wait for her to be playing chess again. Like,
yeah, that's how I felt when she finally got adopted to her new parents, and then she read in the magazine that there was a chess tournament in a school nearby, and she literally like wrote to her mentor. Because like obviously her mom didn't have any money, so she was just trying to figure out how to do this. And she literally wrote a letter to her mentor saying, "There's a chess tournament coming up.
Yes.
I don't have the money, and if you can spot me the $5, I will pay you back $10 for every match. I think it's every match that she wins, or like if she wins it, she'll like
she gives them. She promises like some percentage of.
Yeah.
She was gonna double it pretty much. And that's why at the end, I believe that's one of the last episode. Yeah, I mean, again, spoiler alert. Sadly, I will have to talk about this, but that gentleman passed away.
And, I figured, man.
She wants to go to the ceremony, to the funeral, and pretty much the reason why she was going to say I owe him $10 because she forgot to pay him back what she gained back from those tournaments. But I believe that's the most important scene to me, at least to me, for the whole series, is when she goes back. Because the thing is that the anger that this girl had was like you cannot measure that anger. It was so great that there's not a moment in time on that series that she kind of shed like a tear. She's always angry. Even when she lost this, it was mostly anger more than a cathartic moment or anything. But at that time when she goes back and she returns to the orphanage and she goes to the basement that she used to play with him, she saw all the pictures of her basically from all the tournaments that she's been in. The dude was following her every step.
That's crazy.
And at that moment, that's when pretty much she broke, because she knew at that moment finally that she was never alone. She always thought she was by herself. She always thought that she was alone, but she was not.
She should have known that from the moment she got the $5, bro. Like that was really my favorite part. She gets a letter with $5. I'm like, damn, that is all. That's what I liked about that dude, man.
If you see the cues through the series, you know she's with people and people are supporting her in a way. It's just her mind doesn't let her understand that she's being supported. And at that moment, I believe was the moment that she couldn't fight it anymore. She knew that she had pretty much a father figure in this guy. And he was like from afar, pretty much super proud of her, whatever she was doing. And it was amazing. I think that was the best part, because as soon as she let go of all those feelings, that's when she really became invincible, because she wasn't alone anymore. There was people with her, like backing her up, like supporting her. So it was great. It was a great
That's story. There's 100, 200 moments in this show which are incredibly memorable, but there's a select 2 or 3 that like I just want to talk about just you know after seeing it, that just really gave me a little bit of chills. Just it was just really interesting. And one of them is God, I sincerely feel sour spoiling it, but sorry, like I'm gonna like it. Just she's having her match with Borgoff with the no, I have to. It's just so sick. She's having her match. She's finally, she's gonna fight Borgoff. Obviously, she's gonna get there. She's there, and there are challenges that she's facing during this match, which I'll leave that much out. And she gets the phone call from everyone that's led up to everyone living. So Benny, who was the child prodigy, the guy that she beats in the chess tournament in episode 2, who ends up being pretty relevant later on, and several other chess characters who end up losing to her or beating her in certain times, but all recognize that she's the best they've ever met. She's the best in the world.
Yeah.
But she's losing to Borgov, and during the downtime, she gets the romantic interest, says, "Hey, you've got a phone call," and it's like 9 chess players who were sort of enemies or frenemies at some point. That was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the other one for me, because there are so many moments, and I'd like to hear yours, Will, and then we'll let Manny watch the rest for sure. The other one is playing speed chess with Benny.
Yeah.
So it's when she says, "Hey," because he wins that.
Chess it's not strategic. It's just basically more reaction than anything else.
So Benny tells her, "Hey, let's play. If you're so great, let's play speed chess.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you beat me, I'll give you $5. But if you don't beat me, you give me $5 every time I win." And he wins like 100 times in a row. Like she basically never beats him. And then so she leaves very dejected, very emotionally destroyed. And we're following Harmon as a character. We're like, "Oh, that sucks. Is he better than her? What's going on?" And then he comes out and he's like, "Hey, you're better than me, but I'm better at speed chess. Like, you just don't know speed chess." Yeah. I was like, oh shit. Like, cause in my eyes, I was like, oh, that guy's better than her. So, 200 little moments, just a few that have caught my eye.
Yeah, it's to me it was a great series in the sense that it let us follow this character through that kind of a hero's journey in a way. She wanted to be the best. She wanted to be pretty much the U.S. hero. She wanted to represent. She wanted to make sure that the Russians were not on top no more. It was gonna be her from now on. But
Rocky IV, baby.
But she tried to do it. She tried to do it through shortcuts, and I'm glad this story actually cut off those shortcuts. Like tell her like old-fashioned way. Hey, if you want to be on the top, you cannot use shortcuts. You're gonna go through the process. So she go through training to a few of his colleagues. She goes to training with Harry Beltic, which is the first person that she beat on that first tournament, which become like a kind of a flinch, like a love interest in a point. Then she goes to train with Benny Watts as well. So and they both teach them, hey, you want to know about these dudes? You want to get in the minds of these dudes? Here. And they pretty much hand her over like 20, 30 books of all their games. She never studied games before. That wasn't her style. Everything that she did was because of her beautiful mind, but they pretty much elevate her to the next level. And I like that because I don't know what happened in 2020. We have lost so much of this. It's you can be as much as the best player. You can be the most talented person in the world, but there's no way you got there all by yourself.
Right.
There has to be some people that actually were like those stepping stones for you to get to the place that you are right now. And they, thank God, show us that. It wasn't, no, she's the greatest because she's the greatest. No, we saw her being great. We saw her lose. We saw her get better. And we saw her overcome those obstacles little by little.